Hey there and welcome back to our channel. On this channel, we talk about mental health with a special focus on how it affects us as a DID system. I'm Shell, and today we're going to do a little bit of a system update. I know I'm not looking my best right now, but things keep happening to prevent me from filming this, and so now that I have the opportunity, I'm not going to push it away. This is going to be pretty short because I don't have a lot of time to film, but I did just want to come on and update everyone to how we're doing and where we've been. Where we've been is burnout. Since the beginning of the year, we've been experiencing like increasing fatigue, and it got to a point about a month and a half ago where it was getting really difficult for me to even function. And I was carrying the brunt of the fatigue. Like some other alters, they would be able to front and they would have some energy, which is the only reason that we've been able to continue to exist, because I really just was at a point where I wasn't functioning. And that was what ultimately led to our decrease in our presence on social media. We did try to keep up with TikTok just because that's like the big one that if you don't post, you kind of lose what little audience you might have. We did slow down extremely on Instagram. We had been doing a vlog challenge that we had to pause because of the burnout we were experiencing, and we will eventually start that back up again, but we're still kind of recovering. And then obviously we haven't been filming videos. And a part of that burnout is some good news is that we've moved. We are now in a new place. Our old place we really were not happy with. We didn't like living there, and we're only living there because it was our only option. And we were able to find this place and go from a studio to a 1-bedroom. So now our son has his own space, which has been really helpful. The feeling is just better. The energy is better. It's a lighter atmosphere. The property is a lot nicer. So we're just a lot happier here. But getting here was really stressful and really exhausting. There was a lot of hoops that we had to jump through. And every time there was something new that we needed done, they would give us less than 24 hours to get it done. So we were constantly in like fight or flight trying to get things done on time, and we needed our father's help with it. And so trying to like work with him and not wanting to pressure him because he's helping us. And so like anything he does is helpful, but also needing to meet deadlines. So that was really stressful to try to like balance out, like, hey, like I'm not trying to be pushy. And not that he thought that we were, like he never got frustrated with us. It was just my own personal hangups. I have a hard time asking people for help anyway. And so when I do ask for help, I don't like having restrictions on that help. So that was just really stressful for me. And then at the same time, work was also really stressful. I was assigned to a special project that required a lot of attention to detail, a lot of work, a lot of time and effort. I was putting in overtime, and all of that on top of already feeling this exhaustion that was preventing me from being functional. So literally all of my energy was going into work. And then Shell 2 would come out and deal with the apartment stuff. And as a result, Shell 2 has been very much like not around. She was co-host, but I think the stress of that period really pushed her to her limits as co-host. And so she's fronted like a few times since then, but not nearly as often as she was. I'm hoping that once she recovers, she'll be back to being co-host, because once I had her as a co-host, I realized how helpful it was and how much I needed the skills that she had. And so I'm really hoping that she does take that role back once she's recovered. The other thing that happened during all of that stress was that we had yet another new split. She doesn't have a name. She doesn't know a whole lot about herself. Every time she fronts, it's like a new understanding that like, oh, I exist. Like every time she fronts, it's oh, I exist. So she's very much, I don't know if she's a fragment or if she's just not settled in the inner world, but she very much, and she kind of like can tell when she's out, because like the body and like part of the brain will remember things, but for her it's like she's doing these things for the first time. So that's been a really interesting thing to deal with and try to navigate. She's been doing her best, but again, she doesn't have a whole lot of knowledge about herself. So I don't know if she's a permanent split or if this is something that maybe once Shell 2 recovers, they'll fuse back. I just don't know a lot about that at this point in time. But yeah, we really got to the point where like we just were barely functioning and had to take a step back, and really didn't even know that we were in burnout. I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't realize just how strong of an effect burnout can have on you. And I was really starting to think that maybe like something really was wrong, that like we needed to get to a doctor and see what was going on, which I still need to do because we do still deal with an underlying fatigue. But now it's just back at a level that we're used to dealing with. So it's not as like emergency based, and really did think that like I was sick or something was physically wrong. It didn't feel like depression. I had no idea what was going on. And now that we're recovering from it, I can look back and be like, oh wow, we were really burned out. And we just started feeling better a few days ago, to the point where we woke up and it was like, it went from being extremely fatigued and not being able to do anything, and then the next day being awake and suddenly being able to function. We thought we were entering a hypomanic state, but now I'm pretty sure we have just recovered from the burnout. And part of what leads to the burnout as well is that, and I don't think we talk about this enough, is having DID is exhausting. Being a system is exhausting, and working through trauma is exhausting, and you can burn out from working through your trauma. And I think that everything that was going on in our lives was also coinciding with the things that we were working through in therapy and us trying to work together more as a system. All of that takes mental energy, but because it's happening in the background, I don't always give enough credit to the amount of energy that healing takes. And I think that that's something that we really need to talk more about when we talk about mental illness, is how the mental illness itself is exhausting, but also recovering from the mental illness can be, it's not an easy path, right? And there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of ups and downs, and there are times when you're just too tired to keep going at the moment and you've got to take a break. So that's kind of where we've been at, where we've kind of been forced to take a break with therapy. Our therapist was pregnant, we found out, and then she had her baby. So we're really happy for her, but it does mean that like for the time being, we don't have her. So we did go 2 weeks without having therapy, and now we have like an interim therapist, and that just is automatically going to pause the healing process because she's a new therapist. Like we don't know her. We don't automatically trust her with all the things that we were talking about with our other therapist. So I think like change is hard and change is tiring, but I think these have been changes that have forced us to kind of take a step back and reevaluate and be like, maybe we're putting like too much effort into everything and we need to take a step back from some things. So going forward, I can't guarantee anything because, you know, it could be that this is a temporary recovery and we go back to being tired again. I don't trust my energy levels right now. I don't trust when I feel good because I never know when it's going to get taken away again. If things continue as they are, then we will be able to go back to making videos. I do have a video scripted. It's been scripted for months. I just haven't had the energy to film it. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. And over on our Instagram, we are starting to try to do blogs on Instagram Reels, just to have like a daily record of what it is that we're doing. We think that'll be helpful for us as a system too, especially me as host, because there are days where I'm like, I have no idea what we did yesterday. I think it'll be really helpful for us. We are still doing TikTok, but we are doing it with the impending TikTok ban in mind. We don't see it working out in TikTokers' favors. We do think that the app probably will get banned, and so we're trying to slowly move things over to Instagram. The thing is with TikTok, you get a little bit more time to film, so we're trying to train ourselves to get down to 90 seconds so that we can really do the bulk of our content on Instagram. But we'll continue to do educational posts on Instagram as we can. We did just post one about like what we mean when we say we're blended or blurry, but that's not going to be a regular thing for us anymore, just because it was something that took up a lot of mental energy for us. But as I get ideas and the opportunity and energy to create the images that we put up for those, then I will put out some more informational posts. But for the most part, our Instagram is probably going to be a place for us to just document our lives as a system. You can follow us there on Instagram. I'll put the handle on the screen. For now, you can follow us on Twitter. We are still keeping up with that. And then on Twitter, because we refuse to call it X, on Twitter is kind of just our random thoughts. Like, just when we get a random thought, we just post on there. We're external processors, so it's been helpful to be able to just kind of on somewhere. I'll leave all of that on the screen. If I can figure out how to do it, I'll post it in the description as well. But yeah, that's what's been going on with us. We're hoping that this is a new page and that our energy is back and we're going to be able to keep filming and going forward, and that you'll hear from us in the near future. So until next time, take care and stay well. Bye.